The S&P 500 doing what else? Rising to another record high on Thursday, now on pace for its sixth straight winning session. Welcome to Trading Nation. I'm Brian Sullivan. Robert Sluymer is a technical analyst with Fundstrat Global Advisors. Dennis Davitt with Harvest Volatility Management. Rob, I will start with you. The market may now even be surpassing some of the most bullish forecasts out there. Technically, though, do you see any sign of exhaustion, of weakness, or literally is the momentum just going to continue?
Yeah, it's a great question, Brian. Look, there's a couple points here. The S&P has been trading in a 3.5% trading range, roughly 80 points since March 1st, and it's now breaking out. So by traditional technical analysis, you can sort of double that range. That's another 3.5% on the upside, another 80 points from 2,400. That takes it roughly to about 2,480, and that happens to bring it right back to an uptrend that's been in place since 2016. So, I mean, another 3.5%, it's not huge, but I think it starts to run into trouble there. We do have some longer-term cycle concerns about the market, and we think that as we move into the summer, we're probably going to see more evidence of a cycle peak developing. So we're getting more cautious as we move into the summer.
What are those longer-term cycle concerns that you've got then?
Well, there's a couple things. We track the average momentum for the average stock in the S&P 500. That data got us very bullish in the beginning of 2016. That's when most stocks bottomed, started to turn up after two-year bear markets, notably the global cyclical stocks. That data is now starting to show signs of peaking, and coincidentally, Tom Lee, my colleague at Fundstrat, has highlighted that the PMIs are rolling over. This data that we look at looks very, very similar. So the percentage of stocks with rising monthly momentum is stalling. And if you look at the Russell 2000 as sort of a proxy for that reflation trade, it bottomed in the beginning of 2016, particularly in relative performance terms to the 500. And even though the S&P is going out to all-time highs, the relative performance of small caps is actually breaking that uptrend that's been in place since the beginning of 2016. So it tells you something's starting to change. Some of the leadership is shifting. It's getting more and more narrow. It's getting very large cap and very large cap growth. Yeah. I think that's a concerning sign as we move into the summer.
All right, so Dennis Davitt, I mean, listen, you talked to us on the show about buying some puts for Netflix. What about for the macro market? Should we be buying some insurance here? I mean, just, you know, in case.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to argue against not buying insurance in the market when you have a sub-10 VIX. I mean, I've been doing this a long time, and this is about as inexpensive as I've seen insurance get. Can it get less expensive? Absolutely. There's not a whole lot of leverage in the market, and the VIX is a good proxy for leverage. So when people are over-levered, they tend to buy insurance against their portfolio. The other thing that I look for is people try to lever up by buying upside calls on the S&P. But we haven't really seen that big demand for upside calls. In 2013, where the market was up significantly, we really saw people reaching for upside calls. Going into the end of last year, we saw people reaching for upside calls. While that demand for calls will drive the market higher in the short term, I usually find that it's kind of an indication that a top is coming soon. So I agree with Rob. I think the market could go higher, even if it goes up to 2,480 from here. We're looking at an up 10% on the year. This is not an irrational blow-off top. This is in a zero interest or an extremely low interest rate environment. This is something very rational in my mind. So I think we can go a lot higher. I think a lot of the irrational and a lot of the exuberance is on the negative side. There's far more negative people out there than there are positive people in the market, and I still think people are underlevered and underweight.
Underlevered and underweight in this market. All right, guys, listen, good discussion. Maybe buy some insurance as well for the overall market, especially with that sub-10 VIX, so says Dennis. Rob, it was a pleasure to have you on Trading Nation as well. Folks, the market continuing to make record highs until it doesn't. We'll see when that time is, if at all. Welcome. Thanks for watching. I'm Brian Sullivan. Take care.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.